Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. In this video, I will bring to you in English language the full analysis of the banking and financial awareness banking and financial awareness from October. But not only that, I will bring from the first 2 weeks of November also, because some people have IBPS PO mains on 20th of November, and for them it is paramount that they do the current affairs from first 2 weeks of November, that are very important. And from this video you will find at least 5 questions in your IBPS PO mains exam. And also this video will be extremely useful for RRB mains exam, but also for RBI assistant exam. So let's get started. You can follow me on Facebook. 22,000 people are following me on Facebook, and a lot of your queries are answered. You keep asking queries in the comments, but most of the queries are answered on Facebook. So that's the link, and this link is given in the description also. Let's start. So first is there, the Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. See, Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of India. The headquarter of Reserve Bank of India is in Mumbai, and the Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank is Mr. S.S. Mundra. So under the leadership of Mr. S.S. Mundra, under his patronage, there is a committee that has been set up. And the job of this committee will be for recalibration of the automated teller machines, also called ATM machines. So basically, you know that the government has banned 500 rupee and 500 and 1000 rupee note. But the new notes that are there, that is the new 500 rupee note and the new 2000 rupee note, that their dimensions are a little different. So the tray in which the notes are kept in ATM machines, they need to be recalibrated. And there are around 2.2 lakh ATMs across India, across the country. So for that, Reserve Bank of India has set up a task force. It's a committee or a task force, whatever word you want to use, under the Deputy Governor S.S. Mundra. And the job is basically to make sure that all the ATMs are cash filled. They don't have a shortage of, the money supply. And this is very important. They will ask in exam that S.S. Mundra committee is for what? So it is for recalibration of automated teller machines, so that the new 500 and 2000 rupee notes can be filled. And this task force will have the people from Ministry of Finance, Bank, Central Bank, that is the RBI, etc. And it will also have representatives from Ministry of Home Affairs and the National Payments Corporation of India, also called NPCI. And the recalibration process will take up to 3 weeks, as announced by Arun Jaitley. He said that 3 weeks it will take for all the ATMs in the country to be properly recalibrated. I think they should have probably first recalibrated the ATMs and then launch the scheme, so as to avoid inconvenience. Anyways, moving on. So there is a bank which is called the City Union Bank. See, there is a difference. It is not Union Bank of India. It is City Union Bank, also called CUB in short. Now, this bank is based out of Kumbakonam. Kumbakonam is located in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and this bank has launched India's first banking robot. Okay, the robot is called Lakshmi, and this robot is based on artificial intelligence. Now, there is a difference. See, if they ask you in exam, which is the first bank in India to launch software robotics, then the answer is ICICI. ICICI is the first bank to use software robotics. Can you see this robot like person, eyes of robot, and like this resembles a robot, but this is not an actual robot. This is a software robotics, and ICICI bank is using these robots so that these robots will talk to the consumers, and it will reduce the time, it will reduce the communication time, etc. by more than 70%, as declared by Chanda Kochar, who is the president of the ICICI bank, which is the largest private bank in India. But there is always a concern when we use robots. There is always a concern that there will be a layoff of jobs. Their jobs will be cut because the work is being done by robots. But Chanda Kochar announced that there will be not any jobs cut. But if they ask you which bank used actual robot, not robotic software, actual robot, this is the robot which they are using. So this robot is called Lakshmi, and it is based on artificial intelligence. Now, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence means when the machines can behave like humans. That is called artificial intelligence. Next, RBI has issued clarifications on hedging for external commercial borrowings. Now, here I need to clear your concepts. First, let me tell you what is hedging, okay? It's an important word, and if you are a financial awareness student, or if you are a financial aware, you have a curiosity for concepts, then you should know what is hedging. Sorry, I have a I have a bad throat, so please put up with me. Now, hedging is reduction of risk. Okay. See, it doesn't mean that the bad thing will not happen, just that you have reduced the risk of it. Okay, that is called hedging. For example, let's say you insure your car. So insurance is also a kind of hedging, because let's say you have bought a 5 lakh rupee car. Now that car is stolen by a thief. So your loss will be 5 lakh rupees, but you insure it. So your loss will be less. So the way in which you reduce your risk, that is called hedging. Okay. I'll give you a very live example. We have signed a deal with Russia for fuel. Now you know that the international prices of petrol are at an all-time low, only about $40 per barrel. In the future, the petrol price can decrease also, they can increase also. Okay. Now let's say we have signed a deal with Russia that we will buy 1 million gallon petrol every year from you, guaranteed, but at a prefixed price, that is $40 per barrel. Now, see, there is a risk here. There is a risk in hedging also. What if now our premise is we are thinking that the oil price will increase in future? Okay, so we have secured ourselves from the risk. But what if they decrease further? What if the oil market decrease further? Then we will be at a loss. So hedging does not mean that you have completely eliminated the risk, just that you see a certain direction and you go in the opposite direction to reduce the risk. Now there is a risk. What if the oil price go to $20 per barrel? Then we will be in a loss. Our hedging, which was originally meant to reduce our risk, has actually given more losses. So there is always a risk. Okay. Now let's come to what RBI has said. See, RBI wants to improve the entrepreneurship in India. Entrepreneurial venture mean new business. If I have started a new business, that is called a entrepreneurial venture, and I am an entrepreneur, and this process is called entrepreneurship. RBI wants to promote that, government wants to promote that. So RBI said that if you have a new startup, then you can raise, now listen carefully, you can raise up to $3 million from foreign companies. Now you will ask me, what is the difference between FDI and ECB, that is external commercial borrowing? Because in FDI also we are raising money from foreign company. In external commercial borrowing also I am raising money from foreign company. Now what is the limit RBI has set? $3 million. That is around 6.7, you can multiply 6.7 crore. So it is approximately 20 crore rupees. Okay. 20 crore is the amount that I can borrow from a foreign company. What is the difference between FDI and ECB? Now listen carefully. See, if I have StudyIQ, okay, that is our company StudyIQ. I own 50% in that. Now I go to a foreign company and I tell that company 10% you take in my StudyIQ, my share, 10%. That is also called equity. Okay, 10% ownership I give to you. In return, you give me 10 crores. So in FDI, the foreign company always occupies equity or stake or share. Okay, equity, stake, share, they all mean the same thing. Okay, so that is FDI. So for example, you must have heard 49% FDI, 51% FDI, 27% FDI. What is that? That means that if the foreign company will invest, it will invest up to that amount. For example, if the government says that in the defense sector 49% FDI is allowed, that means the foreign company can occupy 49% in the defense only, up to 49%. But in FDI, always company will occupy stake. Okay, otherwise FDI is not possible. Whereas, let's say I want to expand StudyIQ. I want to open 20 coaching centers in India. I am not giving stake, but I am telling a company, invest in my operations, invest in my expansion, and if there is profitable, I will give you a stake in that. But I am not giving you a stake of my company. That is external commercial borrowing. That is, apart from equity or stake or share, you invest in other things. You can invest in my operations, you can invest in my marketing, you can invest in my expansion, everything. That is called external commercial borrowing. The borrowing that is done for non-equity purposes is called external commercial borrowing. And how much amount I can borrow from foreign companies for external commercial borrowing? It is 20 crore or $3 million. That is the amount that RBI has said. Now what RBI has said is that you need to hedge also. Okay, hedge means what? See, if I have an asset like gold, now you know that there are a lot of risk involved with gold. What is the risk? Price can decrease or increase. Okay. Now I want to hedge it. Means what? I want to reduce the risk. So RBI has said that we need to hedge on our external commercial borrowings, and this will be applied to all the companies under the ECB program. That is, the startups is there, and a minimum tenor of 1 year of financial hedge would be required. Minimum 1 year you need to reduce the risk. So that is what is said by RBI, and this will be applicable to banks. And there we will not go into too much detail, like which category banks, etc. Just know that there is hedging which has been made mandatory by the RBI. And then of course everybody knows, because you all are very active on WhatsApp and all, and these are WhatsApp forwards. But let me tell you some important points which they will ask in exam. Now, Reserve Bank of India, two new currencies are being issued, that is 500 rupee note and 2000 rupee note. Now I will upload a special video on why the Reserve Bank of India is uploading 2000 rupee note. I received more than 250 comments on the videos which were uploaded by Ayush and Rohit Das about this particular thing. Vignesh Karthik, that please explain why government is launching 2000 rupee note, and if it is launching 2000 rupee note, then why how the corruption will reduce? It will rather increase. So I will tell you why the corruption will reduce. Anyways, so 500 rupee note is this one. Okay, this color is called stone gray. This is not yellow color. They will ask in multiple choice question, what is the color of the new 500 rupee note? It is stone gray. And on the back side, see, this is the front side. Okay, so you can't see the back side. So here we have father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji, whereas on the reverse side you have the photo of the Red Fort. Okay, they will ask what is printed on the note, 500 rupee note, Red Fort, and what is the dimension of the note? It is 63 by 150. And numeral is Devanagari. Now this is very important. In fact, I read an article on, I think, wire.com, that how this may lead to language issues. See, we have had language issues in the past, the Hindi versus the Dravidian and all that, Hindi versus Tamil. So basically, if it is, see, Devanagari is the script of Hindi language. So it is, and this note is pan-India. So they are saying that, some people are saying that, Hindi is being forced or imposed upon the people of the South India and the Northeast India, which is not good. Anyways, and it will also have portrait and electrotype watermarks. Okay, these notes are very good for the blind people, visually impaired, because they are Braille compliant. See, Braille is the language which was invented by Louis Braille for blind people. Okay, so these notes are Braille compliant because the blind person, he can touch the marks which are present on the note, and he can get to know the denomination easily. So this is another thing. And then of course, let me talk about the 2000 rupee note. The color is magenta. Of course, there is father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, but on the back side we don't have Red Fort. We have the Mangalyaan. Mangalyaan was what? It was our space shuttle for Mars, mission Mars by ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. We have the photo of that. And on 500 rupee we have Red Fort. So that is the difference. And again, these notes, the 2000 rupee note denomination, it is the first time, and it is called Mahatma Gandhi New Series because it is the first time they have done this. Now, so persons who are holding the old 500 and 1000 rupee note, they must deposit these notes in their bank or post office accounts from 10th of November till 30th of December. Everybody knows this. You have been listening to this in news. You have been given a 50-day window, and there is no limit on the number of notes, but you have to give a proof. Where did you get this much money from? And if the money is over 2.5 lakh rupee, you will be liable for 200% penalty. That is also a very important thing. So you have time till 30th of December, but you can also sign a declaration with the RBI, and you can exchange till 31st of March 2017 at some specified offices of the RBI. RBI has many offices, like in Hyderabad, in Mumbai, which is the headquarter, etc. So at some offices of the RBI, which are on their website, you can check out which offices, you can exchange till 31st March 2017, and you can sign a declaration form. Now, for your immediate needs, because you need money for your daily food and all, old 500 and 1000 rupee note can be exchanged in any bank. Okay, all the banks. head post offices or sub post office by showing your identity proof. Now, not only Aadhaar card, you can also use your voter card, ration card, passport, PAN card. So these are basically KYC things. And then demonetization. This is called demonetization. Demonetization means you replace the new currency, your old currency with the new currency, which is retired. Old currency is retired and you replace it with the new currency. That is called demonetization. Now, this is not called banning. There is a difference between demonetization and banning. Banning is when you ban a note, like 500 rupee will not work, that is banning. But we have replaced old with new, that is demonetization. Demonetization, it has happened before, and this they will surely ask in the exam. See, first time demonetization took place in January 1946. 1000 rupee and 10,000 rupee banknotes were demonetized. However, these two denominations were reintroduced in 1954 along with currency notes of 5,000. So in 1954, you had 1,000, 5,000 and 10,000 reintroduced in 1954. Second time, all these three denominations were again demonetized in 1978. That was the second time demonetization was done. Third time, the RBI in 2014 had demonetized all banknotes printed before 2005. Now, the Reserve Bank of India has appointed Mr. Rajeshwar Rao as the new executive director. And the executive director was Guru Murthy Mahalingam. Guru Murthy Mahalingam was the executive director, but Guru Murthy Mahalingam, he took voluntary retirement and now he is the whole-time member of Securities and Exchange Board of India. They will ask in exam, who is the new whole-time member of Securities and Exchange Board of India? It is Mr. Guru Murthy Mahalingam. So his position was left vacant, which is now filled by Mr. Rajeshwar Rao, who is the RBI new executive director. Moving on to other news. Now look, there is a scheme which is started by RBI to help the companies manage their debt. So that is called S4A scheme, or structuring of stressed assets. Very, very important scheme. You should know the full form also. Now in this scheme, the debt of the company will be divided into two: sustainable debt and unsustainable debt. Okay. And the bank will try its best to help the company with sustainable debt. So that is the first company to avail this scheme by RBI is construction company called Hindustan Construction Company, which is HCC. It has become India's first company to get its debt recast or restructured under the RBI's new scheme. And the sustainable debt of a company cannot be less than 50% of the existing debt. This is very, very important. And what will happen to the unsustainable debt? That means, what is unsustainable debt? That the company can in no circumstances, convert it into the profitable thing, or it cannot give back to the bank. So what will the bank do for unsustainable debt? It will, that is the easiest route. The bank converts it into equity, which means the bank takes over the company. So if a company has 25% of its assets as unsustainable, then in return it can give the ownership of 25% of the company to the bank, or depending on various other things. Or it can, so that means the unsustainable debt can be converted into equity also. It can be converted into convertible debenture, or they may be redeemable. And for that, for carrying this out, there is a overseeing committee, also called OC in short, which is set up by the RBI, which will take care of this entire thing, that how much company has sustainable debt, how much unsustainable debt, etc. Now RBI, as I said, it has allowed startups to raise $3 million via external commercial borrowing route, not foreign direct investment route. So I have already explained you the difference between FDI and ECB. Now in Northeast India, the State Bank of India has declared Silchar. Silchar is in Assam as its fifth zone for easy transactions, for helping people, for reaching out to people, smooth operations, etc. And in Northeast India, State Bank of India, which is the largest bank in India, and the State Bank of India chairman is Arundhati Bhattacharya. They already have 4 zones: Guwahati, Assam; Shillong, Meghalaya; Dibrugarh, Assam; and Jorhat, Assam. These are the 4 zones which are present in Northeast for State Bank of India, and the 5th zone is Silchar. Now let's come to a very important topic, which is payments banks. So payment bank, RBI has said that RBI will very, very strictly monitor the payment banks. It's not like we have given the in principle approval to open the payment bank and now you can offer any product. No, payment bank have certain restriction, and RBI will make sure that all the products that the payment banks offer are compliant, are RBI compliant. They are compliant with the rules and regulations of the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India will have full authority of terminating the payment bank or their products if it is not satisfied with their following of the rules and regulation. RBI may also place restrictions on the payment bank. So why the payments bank were started? They were started basically to have more transfer of money services, especially for the poor people. So the transfer of money services are also called remittance services. Remittance means transfer of money. So that is why payments bank were started. And they will also ask you, how many banks or how many companies were given the approval to open payment bank. So in 2015, 11 companies were given in principle licenses to open payment bank. And let me tell you, companies are really struggling. Out of 11 companies, only 4 companies, only 4 companies have a plan on how to open a payment bank. Their companies are absolutely struggling to open payment bank. And RBI gave them a deadline of 18 months. And there are a lot of companies, I'm telling you, they will miss out on this deadline. Now, it is another thing RBI may extend. Out of the 11 companies, 3 companies have already dropped out. They have already dropped out. Like I remember there is a company Sun Pharma by Dilip Sanghvi. He applied for payment bank. He got the permission, but he said, I don't want to open. Similarly, there are other companies also which I will tell. So total 11 companies were given the license to open payment bank. 3 opted out. Okay. And I read in news that only 4 companies, they know actually how to do something. They have a proper plan in place. So let's see how many actually open the payments bank. It remains to be seen. Now, let's talk about another bank, which is the Small Finance Bank. And let me tell you, how many banks were given approval by RBI to open Small Finance Bank in 2015? 10 companies. 10 companies were given the approval to open Small Finance Bank. Now, you will immediately ask me, what is the difference between a payment bank and a small finance bank? And I will tell you. But first, let me tell you some factual data that is more important for you. So, 10 companies were given the approval by the Reserve Bank of India to open small finance bank, whereas 11 companies were given the approval to open payments bank by the RBI. That is the difference. Don't get confused between 10 and 11. 11 is for payment bank, 10 is for small finance bank. And the first small finance bank to open in India, which recently became operational, is in Jalandhar. It is called Capital Small Finance Bank. Okay, if they ask you which is the first bank in India, first company in India to open a small finance bank, the answer is Capital Small Finance Bank is the first bank to be opened, and it has recently opened, I think some 3 or 4 days back in Jalandhar. It has become operational in Punjab. Now, apart from these 10 companies, 2 more companies are given the approval for opening a small finance bank. In 2016 July, Equitas, the company Equitas was given the permission, and just 5 days back, Ujjivan company has been given the approval by the RBI to open a small finance bank. So if I ask you, till date, till this video is being made, how many companies have been given the approval to open small finance bank? The answer is 12. 10 in 2015, in 2016 July it was given to Equitas, and Ujjivan in 2016 November. Okay, now let me come to the difference between the payment bank and the small finance bank. So these are the differences. So first, let me also tell you that the small bank and the payment bank, they were recommended by the Nachiket More Committee for financial inclusion. What is financial inclusion? Financial inclusion means every person of the country should be availing the banking services at very low cost, especially the rural segment, the low income group, etc. They should also be streamlined. They should also be mainstreamed into the finance. That is called financial inclusion. That means you have to connect every person to bank, for which Jan Dhan Yojana and these schemes were, started. And more than 35 crore bank accounts were opened in Jan Dhan Yojana, which is a world record. And who recommended that there should be a small banks and payment bank? It was Nachiket More Committee. See, for financial inclusion, lot of committees were there. There was the Nachiket More committee, there was Deepak Mohanty committee, there were many committees. Okay, we'll not go into too much detail. Now, small finance bank can accept any type of deposit. Okay, like a normal bank, they can accept savings, current, fixed deposit, recurring deposits, etc. Okay, but payment bank can only take deposits on current and saving account. That means they cannot offer credit card, they cannot offer NRI accounts and time deposits. That is, fixed deposit and recurring deposits are not permitted for a payment bank. So what good is payment bank? Payment bank is only for savings and current account. Savings account and current account only, not for fixed deposits and recurring deposits. Second difference, small finance bank cannot give depositors money as loan. Super important point, okay? Small finance bank cannot give depositors money as loan to others like big industries, but for small area of operation only. And payment bank cannot give loan at all. Now you understood why payments bank were opened. See, the purpose of payment bank was that, the poor people, they should not, they should invest in government securities, and government will give them a fixed interest like 8% as was suggested. So in payment bank, the poor people will invest in government securities, and that is for poor people. Small banks can give loans, but they cannot give depositors money as loan to others, that is big industry, only for small area of operation. Next difference, for small bank, a non-banking financial company, any individual can apply to get a small bank license, but 10 years of experience in banking is a must for a non-banking financial company or individual also. For payment bank, telecom companies and Indian Post can apply. And Indian Post, let me tell you, it is owned 100% by the government. Indian Post Payment Bank, it's a job that the Post has also been started. They are recruiting. Exam is also being conducted for Indian Post Payment Bank, and it is private sector, it is public sector, it is government owned payment bank. And you have other payment bank also, like by Paytm and all these, and I'll tell you why Paytm also wants to open a payment bank. Next, so who is the target for small finance bank? They are medium, micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, businessmen, and for payment bank it is poor people, only poor people, because government wants poor people to invest in government securities. And both the banks are for financial inclusion, that is for providing banking services to the poor people at low cost. But what is the similarity between the two banks? Minimum capital that is required is 100 crore rupees. Whereas for normal bank, if you want to open a normal private bank, it requires 500 crore of capital. But for payment bank and small finance bank, 100 crore is the amount. So small finance bank, let's quickly take you through some other points about small finance bank. So as I said, they cater to deposits and loans only for small area. See, they cannot give loan to big companies, big areas, and they are meant for financial inclusion, as we have said. And small finance bank, any individual can apply, non-banking financial company can apply, or a microfinance institution can apply. Okay, but as I said, they should have experience, at least 10-year experience. And small finance bank must have 25% rural branching. This is very important. See, there are more than 6 lakh villages in India, and only about 52,000 villages in India have banking facility. So out of 6 lakh, around 5.5 lakh villages in India don't have a banking facility. That is why the government wants to connect them to the common service center and all these. And 50% loans they have to provide to micro and small medium enterprises. This is very important. So this is, you can say, just like priority sector lending, because MSMEs is a priority sector lending for a normal bank also. So priority sector lending of 40% that will apply. What is priority sector lending, by the way? See, the government, they give out a dictum to the bank, to provide loans on priority to some industries or some organizations. For example, what is included under priority sector lending? Agriculture is there, micro, small and medium enterprise is there. Then you have renewable energy, housing, social infrastructure projects. These are all part of priority sector lending. So ultimately, banking in India is suffering because of priority sector lending, because the banks, see, they have to invest, they have to keep 4% as cash reserve ratio. Then there is a statutory liquidity ratio that they have to keep. They have to invest in government bonds, etc., government securities or whatever. They have to invest in government setup. They can invest in PSUs, that is statutory liquidity ratio. So ultimately, um, it varies. Now let's say 22%, just for the calculation sake, is statutory liquidity ratio. So 22% gone there. 4% is cash reserve ratio. Total 26%. 40% priority sector lending. So 66% bank can't give loans to industries. And that is one of the reasons why banking is suffering. And this view is shared by a lot of economists, that the priority sector lending should be streamlined, it should be channelized, it should be slightly reduced, or there should be certain other mechanisms. Next, cooperative banks, they can't apply for license of small banks. Okay, NRIs, they can apply for licenses, and this is for small bank I'm saying, but again 10-year experience is must. So that is about the small bank. And small banks, they can't set up subsidiaries. Payment bank, as I said, only current account and savings account, only CASA, only current account and saving account. Okay, no recurring deposit, no fixed deposit, etc. So net banking, debit card, prepaid card, they are allowed. Okay, net banking is allowed in payment bank, debit card is allowed, prepaid card is allowed. Fixed deposit loan, they are not allowed. Fixed deposit, recurring deposit loans are not allowed at all. And because they want the poor people to invest in government securities. Now let me tell you which are those banks. You can count the number. And these are the banks which got the approval to open the payments bank. But these are the three banks which withdrew. So Chola Mandalam Distribution Services, then Dilip Sanghvi of Sun Pharmaceutical, as I said, and Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra is the IT company of Mahindra and Mahindra. So they withdrew. So total 11 companies got the license, 3 withdrew, 8. 8 are the potential, companies which will open, if at all. And the companies are really struggling. Let me tell you, let me give you an update. Companies are really, really struggling to meet the deadline of 18 months. Within 18 months, they have to open the bank. They are really struggling. I think Paytm will open a payment bank. But let me also tell you, Vijay Shekhar Sharma is a genius, and he knows that the mobile wallet is suffering, will suffer. I'm not saying mobile wallet is suffering. In fact, mobile wallet will grow stronger because of this, cashless economy thing which we are following right now. But the thing is, mobile wallet has a competition from unified payment interface, which 26 banks have adopted so far. Unified payment interface, they will really struggle. So Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Paytm, it is opening a payments bank so that through payments bank it can go to the UPI. It can avail UPI. That is why Paytm is opening a payments bank, if somebody asks you. Anyways, so the RBI granted licenses to these companies, that is 11 companies I told you, under the Section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. So this is some more update. This I took from Live Mint website. India Post Payment Bank, it is the first payment bank. It is opened and they are recruiting right now. So Amul Managing Director Mr. Sodhi, he has joined as independent director of the IPPB, and these are some of the updates. You can read about it. And Fino Paytech, it is also seeming likely that they will open. They have tied up with ICICI to open the payment bank. And there you have Airtel Payment Bank, and they have named Mr. Shashi Arora as their CEO and managing director. Then next is Airtel is opening in partnership with Kotak Mahindra, but we don't know whether they will open with Kotak Mahindra or they will go solo. We'll see. Paytm, they will open alone. And National Securities Depository, Reliance Industry, they have signed a shareholder agreement with SBI, Reliance Industry, to open a payment bank. Then you have Aditya Birla Nuvo. Aditya Birla is doing it with the joint venture with Idea Cellular Payment. So 49% is Idea Cellular, 51% is Aditya Birla. They are opening together payment bank. Then Vodafone. Vodafone is investing huge amount, almost 47,000, more than 47,000 crore in their payments bank. It's a big company. Vodafone is a multinational company. So they are in talks with Piramal Group and HDFC Bank for a joint venture. So we'll see how it pans out. This I have taken from 18th October newspaper. So it's not very old. It's quite latest, and we'll follow the what comes in future. Now, Reserve Bank of India Internal Working Group IWG, it has proposed easing bank branch norms. See, if you want to open a bank branch, the rules are a lot. There is a lot of red tape. So there was a committee which was set up, and this committee was chaired by Lily Vadera. And by the way, they can also put up the question like this: Lily Vadera committee was set up for what? So it was basically Reserve Bank of India says that banks should be allowed to open the bank branches. The rules should be relaxed. So you don't need to know what are the rules which they have relaxed. Just know that Reserve Bank of India's internal working group IWG, it said that banks should be allowed to open branches, and these are some of the rules which they have relaxed. Like for example, bank branches including those manned by business correspondent providing minimum 4 hours of service for 5 days a week should be allowed to be treated as a full service branch, even though it is for 4 hours of service for 5 days a week. Still, let's treat it as a full service branch. Basically, they want to reach out to the last mile in villages. And then a part-time banking outlet can be opened in any center. It will be counted in for computing requirement of having 25% branches in rural areas. So these, you don't need to go into too much technicalities. Monetary policy, new governor Urjit Patel, his first monetary policy on, it was on 4th of October, and it was the fourth bi-monthly monetary policy. See, Reserve Bank of India monetary policy, the job is to control growth and inflation. And it was the fourth bi-monthly. Bi-monthly means once in 2 months. Okay, every 2 months, the Reserve Bank of India, it changes or it keeps it constant, but it holds a meeting to see out the monetary policy changes. Now, what were the changes that were made? See, it was festival season. So government wants to push the money into the market. Reserve Bank of India wants to push the money into the market so that people can get easy loans and they can do shopping, Diwali shopping and all that. So they cut the repo rate. Okay, repo rate is also called repurchase rate. Repo rate is for short term and bank rate is for the long term. That is the difference between repo rate and bank rate. They cut the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6.25%. So previously it was 6.50%. They cut it to this. So if they ask you what is the repo rate right now, it is 6.25%. Now in December first week, they will again review the monetary policy, and they kept their mid-term inflation target of 4%, 4% plus minus 2%. Then see, now monetary policy has changed, because earlier what used to happen, the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, that is Raghuram Rajan, was there. He used to call the shots. The governor had all the power he had the final say on the policy rates. Now it is not like that. Now there is a monetary policy committee. I will come to that. And let's look at the other rates. So repo rate, I told you, it was decreased by 0.5%, 25 basis points to 6.25%. Reverse repo rate, it was adjusted to 5.75%. Okay. Marginal standing facility and bank rate, it was adjusted to 6.75%. So your bank rate is the rate at which the Reserve Bank of India gives out loans to the banks. That is called bank rate. And repo rate is the rate at which the banks, when they fall short of cash, they go to the Reserve Bank and they take the loan from the Reserve Bank at a repurchase rate. That is, they have it binding. That is why it is called repurchase rate, that they will have to pay back at a certain prescribed rate. That is called repo rate. The difference is repo rate is short term, bank rate is long term, and repo rate may not always be present. It is the Reserve Bank of India, it auctions the money. Only that time the banks can avail at repo rate. So let's not go into too many technicalities. Just know that all of these rates are there. Marginal standing facility is when very, very short term overnight lending is required by a bank. It goes to the RBI and it can avail at marginal standing facility. And then you have reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate is just the opposite. When the Reserve Bank of India will take the money from the bank at a prescribed rate, that is the reverse repo rate. Now let's say if the Reserve Bank of India lowers the repo rate, then what will happen? If the Reserve Bank of India lowers the repo rate, then the banks can avail the loans from the Reserve Bank of India at a lower rate. So banks will be encouraged to take the loans because they will save more, they will make more profit. And banks will take the loans from Reserve Bank of India and the banks will give it out to the customers or the consumers and banks may also reduce their interest rates, but they will not reduce by the same factor, same coefficient as Reserve Bank of India. But banks will also give easy loans, because banks will be full of money now, because they are taking more loans from the Reserve Bank of India. They will give it to the consumers. Consumers will get easy loans, and consumers will get easy loans. What they will do of that money? They will spend it. They will spend it on goods and services. Therefore, the demand of goods and services will increase, as it happens in festive season, and therefore prices also increase, because the demand increases, price increases. Therefore, inflation is there. But since the people spend the money, growth is also there. That is why they say inflation is a byproduct of growth. That is why Reserve Bank of India has a challenge to increase the growth, but at the same time control inflation. Now let's take a look at the reserve ratio. So CRR, it is since 2013, it is 4%, and it was not changed. So it is 4% of the net demand and time liability, NDTL. This is a very important full form that they ask in exam. And statutory liquidity ratio is 20.75%. So in the calculation, I took it 22 just for the sake of calculating. It is 20.75%. Next, State Bank of India has become the first Indian bank to open a branch in Yangon, Myanmar. So in Myanmar, Yangon, if you remember, it was the capital of Myanmar. Right now, the capital of Myanmar is Naypyidaw, okay, or Naypyidaw as they call. But previously, the capital was Yangon, and State Bank of India has opened their branch in Yangon, and it is their 54th foreign branch of the State Bank of India. Now they have a presence in 37 countries. Would you believe it? And they have 198 offices abroad. And some other news regarding that: there is a Bank of Qatar, or Qatar as they call, Middle East country, rich country. The capital of Qatar is Doha, and one of their biggest bank is Doha Bank. It opened its branch in Kerala. Now let me tell you Monetary Policy Committee. If they ask you how many Reserve Bank of India member are there in Monetary Policy Committee, the answer is 3. How many member from RBI? 3. Total 6. Listen carefully. Monetary Policy Committee is constituted, under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. Section 45ZB of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, and our finance minister used his powers to constitute a MPC. MPC has good representation, 50-50 representation, 50% from RBI, 50% from government. And the final decision is not of the governor, but of the majority. So this time, all the 6 members, I am talking about the 4th October, 4th bi-monthly monetary policy under Urjit Patel, all the 6 members were in a favor of repo rate cut because of festive season. So there are 3 members from the RBI. There is RBI governor, who is the ex officio chairperson, means whoever is the RBI governor has to be there as the chairperson of the Monetary Policy Committee. Then there is a deputy governor, Mr. R. Gandhi, deputy governor RBI in charge of monetary policy. There is Michael Patra, who is executive director of RBI member, and 3 people are from government side. Government will appoint these 3 people. These 3 people are dignitaries, eminent personalities. One is Mr. Chetan Ghate, he is a professor at the Indian Statistical Institute. Then Professor Pami Dua, director in Delhi School of Economics, and Ravinder Dholakia, the celebrated professor from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. These 3 people from RBI, these 3 people from government, total 6 people. And the meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee will be held at least 4 times a year. At least, okay? So that is regarding this Monetary Policy Committee. Now let's come to some financial awareness news, not banking awareness. Financial awareness. Banking awareness is necessarily restricted to bank. Financial awareness can be anything. SAIL. SAIL is one of the biggest steel producing companies in the world. Okay, it is the 24th largest steel producer in the world. Which is the largest steel producer in the world, if I ask you? It is ArcelorMittal. ArcelorMittal. It is the largest steel producer in the world. SAIL was founded in 1954, and the headquarters of SAIL is in New Delhi. It was incorporated in 1973. SAIL is Steel Authority of India Limited, and SAIL has won the 2016 Golden Peacock Award. Golden Peacock Award. And how many steel plants are operated by SAIL? 8. 8 steel plants. 5 are the integrated steel plant, Bhilai Steel Plant, Durgapur, Raurkela, Bokaro, and Burnpur. And 3 are special steel plants, which are at Salem, Durgapur, and Bhadravati. Okay, these are the 8 steel plants that are operated by SAIL. Next, World Bank has said that if India has to improve, then if India has to improve its exports, then it has to improve its ports, number one, and logistics. Ports and logistics. We have a lot of ports western on the western coast also and on the eastern coast also. From western coast we do the business with the western countries like Central Asia, like America, and with the our eastern ports like Paradweep and Vishakhapatnam, we do business with Japan and our eastern neighbors. So we have good ports, but we need to improve our ports and our logistics also. These are the two areas which are required as per the World Bank. This is the report which is called South Asia's Turn, Policies to Boost Competitiveness and Create the Next Export Powerhouse. And this report has suggested a set of policy actions in four sectors: agribusiness, apparel, electronics, and automotive. Next, the Confederation of Indian Industry, which is called CII, has launched Startup Mentorship Circle, which is basically a platform to help startups, and they connect the startups to the global marketplace. So give exposure to the startups, to mentor the startups. The Confederation of Indian Industry started a Startup Mentorship Circle. Now India ranks second in the Global Business Optimism Index. This is only for third quarter, that is July to September, third quarter. And this report was given by Grant Thornton. So it was in Grant Thornton International Business Report, and it was regarding 2500 businesses across 36 economies, that is 36 countries of the world. We are number 2. Number 1 is Indonesia, and number 3 is Philippines. In the second quarter, that is this year, in April to June, we were third. So we have improved, because next 3 months, July to September, we are second now, and we are only behind Indonesia. And globally, the business optimism stands at net 33%. The Indian Steel Association, also called ISA in short, it has asked the central government not to impose any anti-dumping duty. Not to impose any anti-dumping duty on metallurgical coke. See, coke is a form of carbon. Fearing that the cost escalation, the cost escalation of their products, and then they will not be able to compete with the foreign products which are much cheaper. So not to impose anti-dumping duty on which substance? Metallurgical coke. That request has been made to the central government by Indian Steel Association. Then India's first titanium project has started its production also in Odisha. Now look, titanium is very, very important. Titanium is in bone implants also. It is used in medical field a lot. And this plant, this India's first titanium project, it has started at Ganjam district of Odisha. The project has been established by Saraf Group, and government is expecting that 36,000 ton of titanium slag and 20,000 ton of pig iron will be produced per year. Iron is of many types: pig iron, wrought iron, etc. Pig iron, in fact, it is one of the worst quality of iron. And that's all you need to know. Yeah, just note that in August 2015, Indian Space Research Organization, which has its headquarters in Bengaluru, it had fully commissioned and started commercial production at the first indigenous, that is our first Indian titanium sponge plant at Chavara in Kerala. So if they ask you about the commercial production by ISRO, it was at Chavara in Kerala in August 2015, but India's first titanium project, it has started its production in Odisha in Ganjam district. Now our central government has imposed anti-dumping duty on imports of steel wire rods from China. See, China has been dumping all the inferior quality material in India. And if you remember, 3 months back or 4 months back, China's milk, the milk which is we import from China, milk and milk products, they were of very inferior quality. So government had banned those. And not only banned, they had increased the ban by 6 months also. Now they are selling inferior quality steel wire rods, and they are dumping it in Indian markets. So the government has imposed anti-dumping duty on imports of steel wire rods from China. And this is for 6 months. And this is done by Ministry of Finance. Which organization in Ministry of Finance does it? It is the Directorate General of Anti-Dumping and Allied Duties, also called DGAD. This is very important. Now Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, ease of doing business. See, ease of doing business, we are 130 in the world. India as a country is 130 in the world, which is very, very annoying. For one of the fastest growing economies of the world, in ease of doing business, we are 130. This report is not given by any small organization. It is given by World Bank, which gives maximum loan to India. And World Bank headquarter, is in Washington DC. Its president is Jim Yong Kim. By the way, we are 130. And now let's come to ease of doing business within India. So Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they have jointly topped the ease of doing business. This shows that smaller the states, the better it is. So Andhra is number 1 with a score of 98.78%. Telangana is number 2 and Gujarat is 98.21%. Also, credit should be given to Telangana's IT minister, Mr. K.T. Ramarao. He has really made good progress when it comes to attracting industries, the self certification, and he has reduced the red tape to a great level. So I really have I admire his efforts. And the ranking was conducted by the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, which is DIPP, and the World Bank together. So DIPP and World Bank together, they did this ranking. So India is 130 overall in ease of doing business. India improved by only 1 position from last year, and Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are jointly top. The European Union and Canada, they have signed a free trade agreement, which is called Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, also called CETA. And all the 28 European Union states are required to endorse it. So it is a free trade agreement, and free trade agreements means it will reduce the red tape. Too many rules and regulations which prevent the flow of trade, it will reduce that. So there are around 9,000 rules and regulations which will be deleted, which will be revoked to enable free trade between Canada and European Union. Canada is 10th largest economy in the world. So European Union has a lot to look forward to. And then, of course, GSM, the full form GSMA is Group Special Mobile Association. This is in some other language. GSMA Association, GSM Association, Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal, who is the founder and chairman, he has been appointed as the chairman of GSM, and he succeeded Mr. John Frederick Bucksas. And GSM is basically an association of all the mobile operators worldwide. There are more than 800 operators, and with almost 300 companies that are represented in GSMA. So you know that the telecom companies in any country, they are oligopolistic market. Oligopoly is when the number of sellers are very limited. So if you see in India, the number of companies that give telecom services is very less. That makes it a oligopoly market. Microsoft, it has launched India's first cyber security engagement center in Delhi. And it is for cyber security, for preventing cyber attacks and all, and it is their 7th center in the world. So they have their centers in Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, Singapore, Berlin, and Washington. These 6 places. 7th is there in India, and first in India it is in New Delhi. And you know that Bill Gates is right now in India. He's on a visit to India, one of the founders of Microsoft, and Microsoft CEO right now is an Indian, Satya Nadella from Hyderabad. Satya Nadella from India, he is the CEO of Microsoft. Next. So this I already covered. ECB I already covered. Then ease of doing business I already covered. 130th among 190 countries. Yeah, they will ask. New Zealand is number 1. Singapore is number 2. Denmark is number 3. If you want to start a business in India, World Bank says you need 29 days. Can you believe it? Whereas in New Zealand, you require just 1 day. In Singapore, you require just 3 days. If you want to start a business in Singapore, you just need 3 days. And in New Zealand, it can be done within 1 day. And in BRICS nations, we are number 1. So all the BRICS countries have performed poorly. And in BRICS countries, we are, out of these 5 nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, we are the best. But otherwise, we are faring very poor, 130th. Now Cyrus Mistry, the son of billionaire Palonji Mistry, removed as the chairman of Tata Group. So there were legacy issues, and Ratan Tata has taken over as chairman again, interim chairman for 4 months, and within 4 months they have to elect a new chairman. So this was decided by the board, and for seeing out who will be the new chairman of Tata Group, there is a 5-member search committee, and that's all you need to know. And Cyrus Mistry, he, along with his father Palonji Mistry and his brother Shapur Mistry, has 18.5% stake in Tata Group, which is the largest, by the way. And of course, government has introduced 4 goods and services tax slabs. Goods and services is 122nd amendment. So there's a 4 slab structure. The lot of states were concerned whether the goods and services tax will affect in the short term. So yes, it will affect in the short term. Therefore, there is a 4-pronged strategy, so to say, and the range is from 0 to 26%. GST will be implemented. The deadline is 1st April 2017, and there will be a secular growth rate of 14%. It will be taken into consideration for calculating the revenue of each state. So how much is the secular growth rate? 14%. So let me tell you what are the slabs. So these are the slabs. First is 6% lower rate, 12% standard 1 rate, 18% standard 2 rate, and 26% is the higher rate. So ultimately it will reach its level, but slowly, so that the people don't suffer. It is an indirect tax, goods and services tax. And you know the difference between direct and indirect tax. Direct tax we give directly to the government, like the income tax. Whereas indirect tax we don't give to the government, we give to an intermediary who in turn gives it to the government, like your sales tax and all. You don't give sales tax to government, you give it to an intermediary, and that person gives it to the government. That is the indirect tax. But for certain services, there is 0% tax. That is like health, food, the basic necessities. It will not be levied, but it is 26% on luxury items. That is understood. And on fast moving consumer goods also, FMCG products and consumer durables, which are also called the slow moving consumer goods, consumer durables, refrigerator and all these. And fast moving consumer goods are like your soap and FMCG, like the products of Procter and Gamble and Patanjali. These are your fast moving consumer goods. So your consumer durables are your TV and all these, refrigerator and fridge, and all these things, they are consumer durables. So on consumption of ultra luxury items and demerit goods such as big cars and tobacco products, a cess must be imposed over and above a 26% GST. So they will be taxed more, like your big cars and tobacco products, etc. And as per Article 279A of the Constitution, Goods and Services Tax Council will be a joint forum of the center and the states. Now our faculty Ayush, he made a brilliant video on GST in Hindi. You can check that out. And there is a video on GST by Vignesh Karthik in English also. And of course, BRICS will set up its own credit rating agency. I have done extensive analysis of BRICS Summit in my separate video that is available on the channel in Hindi. See, BRICS says that, the 3 agencies, Standard and Poor, Fitch and Moody's, they all are American agencies, and they are highly partial towards the developed countries like America, and they are very partial against the developing economies. That is what Russia says. That is what China says. So they say that we will have our own credit rating agency. We will not depend on the Standard and Poor, Fitch and Moody's. So these 3 agencies control 90% of the ratings market. And Rosneft is the Russian oil giant, the biggest public sector company, oil company in Russia. So it led a consortium. Consortium means group of companies, and they together have bought India's SR Oil. SR Oil was deeply in debt for 13 billion. So under this deal, Rosneft has bought 49% stake in SR Oil refinery, port and petrol pump, while Trafigura has owned another 49% equity. And then Indian pharma companies, they rank 19th in biopharmaceutical competitiveness and investment survey. You will think that you might think that this is a good rank, but let me tell you it is not, because Indian pharma sector is one of the biggest growing sectors. It is even more growing than the IT sector. And Indian pharma, we are the largest producer of generic drugs in the world. So Indian pharma companies, they rank 19th in the biopharmaceutical competitiveness. And then you have our finance ministry, which has set up a public debt management cell, which is called PDMC. They will just ask, PDMC is started by which ministry? It is the Ministry of Finance. And this is basically with the objective of deepening the bond market in the country. What is bond? It is a debt instrument. And Cabinet Committee in Economic Affairs, which is called CCEA, it has allowed the ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Videsh Limited, which is called OVL, to buy 11% stake in JSC Vankorneft. JSC Vankorneft from Rosneft Oil Company of Russia. And the Union Finance Ministry has constituted a 4-member Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board. I will make a separate video on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board and Insolvency Bill recently introduced, and the chairman will be Mr. MS Sahu. And then Reliance has signed a deal with Dassault. See, Dassault is the same company which manufactures Rafale. We have bought 36 Rafale jets in flyaway condition, but there is a clause that is 50% of the amount, that is approximately 60,000 crore, that the company has to invest within India. So that is called an offset clause. And to invest it back in India, it needs a local partner. So Reliance has come to its rescue. So Reliance will help Dassault Aviation to invest 50% of this amount in India. That is called the offset clause. Now, the National Mission on Bioeconomy, it was launched in Shillong, Meghalaya by the Institute of Bioresources and Sustainable Development, which is called IBSD. And what is the purpose of this mission? It is to boost rural economy by using bioresources. And of course, last but not the least, Infosys, which is the second biggest IT company of India after Tata Consultancy Services, it has started its own e-commerce platform, which is called Scava Commerce. So that's it. Like, comment, share. Thank you.